Yeah. Okay. So the topic of today is adding personality, and I chose two pieces that seem to have a very similar issue outside of form and light environment and all that business. And it's just how to make it active, how to make the character move, how to bring them to life, how to give them an attitude problem, how to make them an interesting character, and it's all to do with narrative and writing. But before all that, if you have work that you want to submit for Critique Hour, just go to istebrak.com and click on the Google Plus icon. It'll take you straight to the community on Google Plus, which is like the heart and soul of everything that we're doing. This is where I go and pick stuff for critique. You can submit it to all kinds of categories. Please make sure you read the rules. My mods are not lenient. They are very strict, as I want them to be. So yeah, no double posting, no anime. Be very, very careful with the kind of fan art you're posting. This is a very big deal. I've seen some fan art here, realistic fan art. Be very careful. Adding a couple shades here and there is not a realistic attempt. It's more of like a sensationalism kind of art. Please stop with the fan art if you're having issues with form and you know it. You should be trying something a little bit less fun. You're not here to have fun when you're studying, and that's just something you got to get over. It's not me like stopping you from living your life. I have nothing to do with your life. It's not my business. But you're supposed to be studying, and if you're rushing the fan art, and there's a reason why there's a very specific clause for fan art in my gallery. If you're rushing fan art before you figure out nose geometry or figure out basic eye socket structure in rotation and 3/4 view and front view, I have no idea why you're even attempting something that is a hybrid style, kind of realistic hybrid business. You should not be trying that kind of stuff. So if I see that this is consecutive fan art posted, and some of you are wonderful fans, some of you who are posting the fan art are here with me right now in the stream, and I'd hate to have to kick you, or I'd hate to have to block all of your art. Please make sure that you're between all the fan art, you're actually attempting some studies and posting it. And this is an educational community, period. It's not your gallery. It's not a place to have only fun. It's a place to really crack down on some of the issues that are stopping you from sucking less. And this is something that you need to work on. If fan art and fun are the only ways you manage to make art happen in your life, you need to take a hard look at your discipline. So be very, very careful with your fan art, guys. All right, that said, please give me your money on Patreon. I'm joking. I couldn't resist a stupid joke. If you want to support on Patreon, you may do so as a watcher or get an educational equivalent to private tutoring through the Apprentice tier. That's it. So let's get started with adding personality. What is that all about? So I'm going to start off with this piece over here. I'm going to let you guys laugh a little bit. Okay, get over it. Let's go. Let's focus. Let's just get over this stupid little joke and let's just move on. Yeah, if the people who have drawn today's stuff are here, please, attend and answer some questions for some people who might ask you some questions. I love it when the artist who's being critiqued is present, because people can ask them as well as they can reply to me if I have any questions on their progress or anything like that. Okay, alright, let's get started. So this character here, she's just sitting pretty. She's pretty much just like a flat out, ironed out drawing. Looks like a very, very boring doll. A China doll would have more personality than this. And there are very, very specific reasons why this is not working. First and most important reason is the tile canvas. It's just a conveniently, it's the tile, this canvas has been set up for convenience, not so much for composition. So it's like you didn't know what else to do with the canvas, so you just gave yourself as much space as you felt like drawing the character for the character, which is not a good idea. How do we add personality? Well, where is the personality lacking? There's no personality in her eyes. There's no personality in her smile. It's too symmetrical. The way she's sitting is perfectly symmetrical. Who is this character, and why should I give a damn about them? Why should I care about them? And the way to make this happen, and I've written a whole chapter about this in my upcoming book, is narrative. So when we are making it or designing a character, we're telling the story first. We have to know who it is that we're drawing first. So this character right here, she's got pale face, she's got dark lipstick, She's got very strong makeup. She seems like a very dark character, more like a Morticia or Ruby Gloom kind of character. She seems like she's got a lot of thoughts in her head. But the way you drew her as a basic Barbie doll. She even had the Barbie doll bimbo kind of pose. One thing that I feel like she would be doing, and I'm just going to write the story myself. So that's what I have to do in the critique. I have to like write it myself. I have to take charge of the story. Is I'm going to lengthen the size of her nose, give her a bit more maturity, lengthen her face a little bit. And I'm going to just start adjusting her eyes. I'm going to raise one eyebrow a little bit higher, raise one a little bit lower, extend the opposite side of the lip to have more of a smile. I'm going to, in a second, completely erase away at the pupils. I'm going to shrink the size of her eyes, again, to give her more maturity, less of a bimbo look. And altogether, I'm trying to kind of tilt her face down so that she's looking up at the viewers. And I'm doing that so that this is not going to be finished until I fix the iris. I'm going to get rid of that tail lip, that Betty Boop lip. Just really, really cheesy. Stop drawing lips like that. You don't need that tail. All you need is radial shading. I'm going to give her a squint to her eyes. Again, don't worry about the... Goddamn liquefy. Don't worry about the pupils and the iris because I'm going to be getting rid of those. I'm giving her a squint to her eyes. So what are we doing now? We're giving her an attitude problem. Why? Because the character seems like she's up to something. Seems like she's saying something with the way she's standing. I'm also going to give her body a little bit of a lean. So we're adding personality by bringing in asymmetry. Okay. We're adding personality by kind of extending the story a little bit to we actually enter creative writing, and it's not just about drawing a pretty face and following a tutorial on how to draw eyes and just making a character out of nothing. Adding personality is a part of writing and making the character's world come to life. And so you're asking the question of personality. What kind of expression does she need? What is she like? What kind of a person is she? What kind of people does she hang out with? What kind of clothing choice does she have? This is all how we design. This is advanced design. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm going to just actually correct her arms in a second. Her entire upper body is just a little bit too small. Oops. God damn it. What does the brush size keep changing? Okay. And I'm just going to adjust this back. So the way to make her feel like she's leaning her head down is to show more of the forehead. And show less of the chin. Okay, so this is an extensive correction, so bear with me. Zooming out is really important. I'm going to just place the shoulders where I want them and then finish off the rest with transform tool. And I'm just constantly trying to tilt her head down as much as I can with liquefy, or as much as I can get away with liquefy. Because I'm going to be making her eyes look up. And it's not so much I want her to look evil, it's I want her to look like she's got a thought in there. Stupid ass. Again, just giving her that smile. Tilting her nose down as much as possible, hiding more of the nostrils. Alright, so where she was before and where she is after. So a little bit more personality, a little bit more attitude. Now let's think about these pupils. So I gave her these really, really super glamorous, super pretty purple eyes. Well, that's not going to be enough. It's not enough to make this illustration work. Alright, so I'm completely getting rid of this. And the reason why a lot of, like, I'm sure the artist here has seen League Splashes, has seen the kind of art made for, you know, pinup, and really all I have is League as an example, really, for extensive pinup, but they're inspired by it. They're inspired by these super, super pretty girls. But it's not enough to paint a pretty face. You have to have the gesture to reinforce the face. So write that back to me. Gesture has to reinforce the personality. Again, I'm just trying to make it seem like her head is tilted down, looking up, and she's kind of like, oh, look at that, tilted her head. Just a bit more of an attitude problem. Alright, so just look at all the personality that's starting to come back. It's no longer just a sitting pretty or sitting stupid. And honestly, a lot of you guys draw characters that just sit stupid. You know, they're just sitting there looking dumb. And I'm not sure why you guys find that appealing. I'm not sure how you didn't notice that there's really nothing going on in the character's life. Like, how are you designing people and not designing the world they come from? And the world they come from has affected them, and the personalities come through in your characters. Alright, so I'm going to raise one shoulder to be a little bit flirtatious, but lower the other one to be a little bit more sporty. So she looks athletic, but she knows she's pretty, probably a femme fatale. You guys are always drawing femme fatales. Alright, so before I correct anything else, I'm going to start getting into the geometries, the fundamentals. No more creative stuff right now. The creative stuff has been decided. The writing has been completed for the most part anyway. And now it's all about constructing a realistic world. So the realism is what's next. So I'm just going to get darken layer and think about what I can do to make her look like she really is in this room. So I'm going to start off by applying some shadows. And all this stuff and so much more is going to be covered in my book. So if you feel like, you know, you learn best with a book, you learn best with, you know, written text, it's easier for you to memorize concepts or understand them, I'm going to be definitely coming out with that. So, and I'm just darkening according to geometries here. Trying to give her an attitude. There are a lot of other issues here just floating around. I'm trying to tackle them one by one. So this arm here didn't go over. That needs to go behind, I mean. And then we go into the eyes now. So I want her to look at the audience, but I also want her to, here, let me change the image size. Geez, that's really, really small. Okay. So I'm going to grab one of these colors here. Just make her look up, make her look a little bit more focused. She doesn't have to be looking at us, but it's definitely a newfound kind of focus in the eye direction. And then I'm just going to blur it according to what you were doing earlier with the pupils and the iris and all that. If you feel like they need to be bigger, they can be. I kind of like them looking up. A little bit more of an attitude. Okay. So now I'm just gonna use my brush and just think about some of the other sub kind of core shadows once we apply the features and all that. So whatever cast shadows emerged when we added to this big sphere, the eyes, the nose, the main core shadows. A little bit of value sharing, a lot of bit of value sharing here. Alright, a major core shadow for the upper, the brow bone on the upper eyelid. Right, just lots and lots and lots of attitude. And I'm keeping the value of all the cast shadows the same temperature, and that's just reinforcing where the light source is coming from. I'm going to cast the shadow on the halfway point on the face. Just over here, just along the half line, everything's moving away. And blending in the start of the eyebrows. I talked about this last class, what we do with eyebrows and why we blend. Okay, and then the lips, again, getting rid of these tails. You guys don't need those. So we'll look at the before and after, and now it seems like her costume, and I just call it costume, is in sync with what she's doing with her face. Seems like it's the same girl. This is her fashion choice. She chooses these types of clothes. She dresses herself, and because she does, you know, dress like this because of her attitude, the trope is now complete, and she's this femme fatale, don't care what you say, kind of, I'm in charge, I'm also really dangerous kind of stuff like that. I'm grabbing this color, casting a shadow on the other side. Throwing in some distortion shadows is really, really great because it'll add to that mystery and danger. It's not a perfectly symmetrical light from top down. See how zoomed out I am? That's the only way we catch these molar core shadows that stretch across the face. Those really, really important ones. Right, so you guys are not adding that much personality because you're not marrying expression, character design and costume, and gesture. You're not combining all those three together. So what were those three? Again, if you guys can write them back to me. What are the 3 ways to add personality? Actually, this shoulder is not a good idea for the one that's raised because it's hidden with hair. I'm going to raise this one because it's a little bit more visible. I'm going to tuck it in. I'll leave this one a bit more relaxed. Just tucking her arms behind her body. Kind of that sporty legs really, really stationed kind of attitude in her stance. And then a little bit of work on the chin, just some radial business. Gesture, expression, and asymmetry? No. Makeup, clothes, and attitude. Yep. No. Well, those aren't the 3 that I was referring to, but fundamentals are fundamentals. You can look amateurish if they're not solid, which is why doing studies is important. Excellent. Expression, character design, costume. No. Expression, pose, and environment. No. Expression, character design, costume, and gesture. Expression, costume, and gesture. Those are the 3. So makeup and clothes are the same thing, and attitude is expression, and then you're missing gesture, Tom. So expression, makeup, and costume, and gesture. Those are all the 3 ways to add personality to your character. Make sure you're using all 3. I mean, if you're not using all 3, and you're using one of the 2, you're missing something. Why would you throw away a chance to use all the ways to make your character look absolutely cool? So the one way I can fix this whole, actually I don't want to increase the size of the head. It seems okay for the canvas right now. I'm just going to increase the size of the body. And that's much more proportionate, less childlike. So what you were doing was pretty much nothing. You had a pretty face and you had some nice costume, but that was it. And apart from that, you weren't really exploring other ways to make this character work. Why? Because you probably didn't know who this character was. Why? Because you didn't write them. You just drew something pretty and hoped it would just look good, and you matched some makeup and colors together, and you chose a really nice, appealing dress type with some boobs, and that was that. That was the extent of your writing. Why don't you guys write? I don't understand. Why you guys don't write? We all need to write a little bit. All right? All right? I'm so funny. Yeah, I'm going to shut up now. Okay. So another thing that we can do in the environment here to add personality to her, and this is more like the cinema or the staging thing, is that we can just hide her a little bit more in some shadow and reveal only some of the areas that we really feel like need to be visible. So something that we can do that I love is that Morticia Addams Hollywood light that they add right across the face, just like that. And just a little bit of work across any other field here with a much less thing. And another thing they did back in Hollywood was they, of course, made sure the boobs had their own little light. Just something like that always helps. A bit too much exposure before, and I'm just gonna decrease the rest and a little bit more exposure. I mean, a little less exposure, just trailing off the rest of the painting. That's something we can do for the environment. Another thing is, so I'm just gonna lower the intensity of this specific thing right here. That's enough. And then I'm just gonna darken the lipstick a little bit more, and then in a second I'm just going to use multiply, best way to darken lips. Next thing we can do is just the eyes, so we need to bring back some detail in the eyes. So you can do that. I know you want to draw that milky, super cool anime, I'm so mystic eye, but you need to do something where the contrast comes back in the eye, so I'm not sure how you people do this whole eye thing. I think it's like this. I'm not really sure how the eye was done before. You kind of just like invert the eye or the pupil. Alright, so I'm like forcing one eye to be a little bit more squinted than the other. Again, more personality, more of an attitude. And you do this all with blueprinting. You do this all before any amount of paint touches the canvas. You write the character before you even start it. How else are you going to fall in love with them? I mean, don't you want to know who you're drawing? Right now you guys are at what? And beginners do this a lot. Beginners draw what, where masters draw who. Write that back to me, please. Because I'm narcissistic and I want to hear my words written back to me. Alright. So I'm just closing up shop here for any core shadows, even smaller core shadows attached to the already small features we discovered earlier. And I'm just going to bring in some contrast now, some really, really sorely needed contrast. So I'm going to start off with the eyes. Beginners draw what, masters draw who. Yeah. So saith Istebrak. Alright, so a little bit of shine here and there. Look at how dangerous she looks, you know? She actually is going somewhere. This is going somewhere. We want to know who she is. Who is this? Is this the next champ? She's supposed to be, you know, some kind of bride, some corpse bride that, you know, that seeks revenge on Demacia or something like that. God, I hate League. No, I can't just write anything right now. So I'm just blending out these lashes. They're a little bit too boring and flat. And another thing you can do to start bringing this to life is some blush and some makeup. And so you just can't go and get a peachy rosy color. You got to get something a little bit more purple. So you just slide straight up into here, and that's the color you need. You have to make sure all your colors are neighboring. Like there's a door connecting every color. You can't just skip through. You have to go through the door. So I'm just placing some of this purple here. Look at that. A little bit on the eyeshadow. A lot on the mouth. It's starting to come to life. And a little bit more color correction. I'm going to just slide this down. Still, it's neighboring, so I went through a door to get to this color. And that's the color I'm using on the eyes. Let me see how quickly we're starting to get some of all this intrigue back. I'm going to darken the lips a little bit more. As for the breasts, I'm not sure why you guys draw breasts like you did when you were 5 years old. Or like, not 5 years old, when you guys were 14, you just draw boobs like this. I don't know why you guys do this. I know she's wearing a corset, but breasts are a lot more complicated to form study. They need like their own unit, like especially with my students in private tutoring. Like I see them all trying to draw boobs, and I'm just like, all right, you know what? We're gonna have a whole session just on boobs, because if you can master what's happening here as a form language, then you can understand essentially what organic patterns are all about. So right here, breasts are a volume that has caught the light. So there's a little bit of light in between them both. There's also light at the top, and there's a core shadow. And that's it. There's nothing else you need to do, because the simplicity is grace. Simplicity is a sign of, again, another sign of a master. Right? You don't actually outline the cleavage, because the cleavage is an edge. And so what we do is we do the inversion of that. Instead of using shadows to bring the shape out, we use light. So now that that's done, let me just bring in one of these highlighters here. And this girl had pretty developed breasts, considering you didn't really have a, you had like a really, really small body for her. All right, I'm just casting some more core shadows here. Breasts cast shadows. The arms are still extremely challenged, so I'm just gonna bring that here. So what are the 3 ways to add personality? Anyone? One does not simply skip through the colors. So yeah, I'm just setting up this little area here for the arms. And fixing this as well. And okay, I'm just fixing some of this. So now that we're done kind of doing what you didn't do, what's left that you could add to this that can make her a little bit more interesting? And that's writing. That's a little bit of writing expected out of you. You need a bit more writing here. What else can you do that'll make her look super cool? So I'm casting the shadow on the wall behind her. Okay, and that should add a little bit more fun. But any questions at all regarding this? The hair is not responding to any kind of light source. You're just kind of just throwing shit there. So I'm going to use a darken layer with the environment color, and that's what I'm shading the hair with. I'm just finding where, and if you can't find the core shadow, if you're having trouble finding core shadow so that you can apply it to the hair, you need to go to your form studies. You need to go back to some form studies, grayscale, simple, easy lab environment type of business that prepares you for twists, for bends, for elevations, for radial shading opportunities. Okay? See how much is technical about art, and to see how you're supposed to be separating the technical from the creative. how little creative you're allowed to have when it comes down to rendering. But a lot of you, and this is exactly what I just recently wrote in the chapter, but a little bit more detail, a lot of you write as you draw. A lot of you are writing as you're drawing, which is just like you're setting yourself up for failure. There's so much involved in writing that you're writing as you draw, so you're drawing as you write, and that means that you're not going to undo what you drew and wrote wrong that you did at the same time early. So you're making mistakes that you don't want to undo because you work too hard at them. And that's not what writing is. So much easier to just erase a whole section and try again. But none of you want to do that because you're drawing and writing at the same time. So whatever you lay down, that's going to be canon. That's written and carved in stone. You might as well carve it in stone. You might as well be using stone slabs while you're drawing if you're writing and drawing at the same time. Please write ahead of time. For all my private tutoring students, I have them write down blurbs, little tiny descriptions of the characters they're about to draw. The characters they're about to sketch, anything they're about to take on like this. I have them write little tiny descriptions, sentence or two, paragraph or two of the character and what they're all about. Because you have to separate the creative from the technical. You have to separate, you have to have a guide with which you're drawing. If you don't have one, then what are you drawing? You're just drawing anything and anything, and it's so ungraceful, or whatever the term is. It's so choppy a method. It's so choppy a process. And it makes no sense at all. In theory and in application, it makes zero sense. So I'm still very iffy about what we did with her face. I kind of still don't like her face a little bit. Let me see what I can do. Okay, so this becomes an edge. I'm just going back to my blocks. I'm gonna have a little bit of a bump to the nose, and I think that corrected it. Writing before actually drawing. Shape language. If breasts are pushed tightly together, would you shade them almost like an eyelid crease? No, you would shade them like one object in front of the other. So you'd shade them like you would any organic shape that is stacked. It's just going to be the breasts in front of the chest, and that's it. Really. Something that I feel like is missing is the laugh, is the smile circle right here. Just between the nose and the mouth. A little milk mustache there of the light spot. But yeah, adding personality is something that's not coming easy to a lot of you, and I'm not sure why that's happening. But I think it's due to the fact that writing doesn't come easy to a lot of you. Something that we can do to make her look a little less evil is just eyebrow power. Eyebrows are the most powerful expressors on the face. There's nothing more powerful than it. Not the smile, not the eyes, nothing. And you'll realize this too if you have the field experience doing expression studies. Eyebrows are the end-all and be-all of expression. And if you want her to look a little bit more nice, you just leave the exact same eyebrow, but you just raise it up a little bit higher. And she'll seem a lot more approachable, less evil, a little bit more curious, and a little bit less intimidating, but nevertheless very beautiful. See the difference that this little tiny eyebrow change did? A lot more approachable, a lot more of a protagonist, a lot more of a merciless villain, right? Okay, so any questions at all? When should you approach fully rendered drawing? When you have a good story and you have a good study behind every aspect that story will expect you to render. So if you've done you know how to draw a face, you know how to draw expression, you know how to apply. It doesn't have to be a master at gestures, which is why I don't really focus that much on gestures. Gestures are something you can tackle easily because there are references for it. However, a face is a very, very tricky little bitch, and you have to make sure you're really dedicating all your time on characters, on faces, because characters are very dependent on the face. So, that's something that I would rush first. So when you're done with the portrait, you're done figuring out general gestures. I mean, you can spend all your time on gestures too, all the better. But for some students, that's just way too boring, and they want to get into writing and creating. If you have a good idea of framing, you have a good idea of some depth rules for environments, you know how to cast a shadow, you're ready for all of that, then by all means, go crazy. Start rendering some masterpieces. But again, a masterpiece requires a writing, requires some creative writing, some actual creation. You need to think about who this character is, what their story is, what they're all about, or else what the heck are you drawing? And I want to write that, what the heck are you drawing, in my book, but I can't really do that. But this is the chapter I just finished writing for you guys. And I hope when the book is released, you guys pick up a lot from it. I'm sure putting a lot in it. Okay, this cylinder needs a high point. Just around here. Facing the light source. And this nice little cast shadow off the chest, see that? And I just have to finish the outer shape of the breasts, and now you have your 2 focal points and a really, really basic long canvas for this character, and voila. Let's take a look at the before and after. It's going to be a massive difference, so prepare yourself. Filter, image size 1000 by 1000. Okay, so before, hi, my name is Anna, I'm cosplaying, here's my ID picture. This is my ID this is her ID. This is her green card picture. This is her passport picture, but she wasn't allowed to smile, so she had to redo it. I'm making fun of this, not because of your drawing, but because of the bad writing and the laziness behind us, alright? That's why I'm making fun of this. And after. A little bit more of an attitude problem, a lot more of an attitude problem. Really big change today. And I didn't really do much. I didn't do much at all. I narrated every aspect of what I changed. Ah, yes, my daily dose of ASMR. I'm sorry, is that like me drinking my coffee? I'm so sorry. Alright, ID picture, character design. Green card picture. That's because I had to take my green card picture. Oh, so Nina Colada, are you the one who drew this? I'm so sorry for being so rough on you. I'm just being, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us this piece so that we can use this as a learning opportunity for everyone watching. But what the fuck? Why didn't you write anything? You have to start writing. That's the writing is the reason why I tilted her head slightly. Writing is why I gave her this little eyebrow thing going on here. Why I squinted one eye. This isn't just when you're looking at an artist that you admire and they do all this. They're not doing all this because they feel like it. They're doing it because they wrote something that guided them to make these choices. Every choice has a narrative behind it. You're all here to draw. Why are you here to draw? Why are you guys drawing? Does anybody know why you guys are drawing? I'm going to let you guys guess. Why do you draw? No, it's not yours? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Whoever's it is, I'm so sorry about this. Fits canvas to screen. Yeah, I know. Control-Z fits the canvas to the screen. Yes, I know, Carlos. Thank you. I'm scaring from you. It's yours now, Nina. Still consider myself a beginner, but I'm wondering, how do you tell when you're not technically one anymore? When people start responding to your work, when you repeat a success, when you have 4 drawings in a row that look great, when your before and afters look wonderful. I draw, therefore I am. I draw to draw the coolest shit. Gotta dig into my old stuff and send it in for critique. To tell a story. Thank you, Interstellar Ginger. I could kiss you on the mouth. To tell a story. Exactly. And if you're not telling a story, you're just drawing random shit floating in suspended space and expecting a reaction from your audience, which is not possible. To tell a story. That's why you guys are drawing. It's a job thing. No, it's not to get a job. It's not any of that. You guys started drawing. You hope that you can draw for the rest of your life make a job out of it. That's something you hope, but that's not why you started drawing. You didn't start drawing because you want a job. You started drawing because you wanted to tell a story. You wanted to describe something. There was a picture and a story in your mind that you wanted to show to people. So you were taking a picture of what's in your mind. You're taking a picture of your thoughts. That's why you draw. All right? Why do we draw? To tell a story. To take a picture of the thought in our mind, which is not possible. Nowhere in the world, no technology can take a picture of our thoughts. All right? So write that back to me. A kiss on the mouth from Istebrak. New tier on Patreon. I think we also draw to show how we personally see the world. That's still a story. It's still a story. It's still something in your mind, a picture or whatever it is that you're trying to take a picture of. An image in your mind, a thought. So I'm going to leave this here, right? And for this piece, same exact business. Though your characterization is great, I feel like what you've done with the belly and all this repeated, like sinewy wood roots type of overgrowth without any foliage, death, kind of feels like a Tolkien character, or like I forget what his name is. I forget his name. I'm not even going to try. But what you need now is a good reference for someone who is extremely skinny. So it's not really for the faint of heart, and it's a disease, and it's an unfortunate one, but I really recommend you look up anorexic bodies just as a reference. If this is something that triggers you, if you are susceptible or something, I'm not really sure how to describe what it is I'm trying to say, but please don't look at this stuff if you are not ready for that kind of reference. But as an artist, we have to make sure we are versed in all different kinds of bodies, and an anorexic body type, I feel, is something that would benefit this character right here. She is supposed to be like a Morgana, so her body type, if you guys have seen the way Morgana was designed in League of Legends, she's very, very skinny. The anatomy's a bit off because she's got like these really, really swole biceps, but I digress. Okay, so what does that mean for the belly? It means the belly is completely hollowed out. It means there's no real fat pockets there. There might be a little pouch, a tiny little one, just somewhere hanging out here. There. Really, really strong bone structure. Right, I need a reference, because teacher ain't got the knowledge for this. I'm going to see what I can do without reference. No, the ribs are all off. That's why. There we go. Alright. As for, like, I don't know. If I was a ghoulish monster, necromancer, I really wouldn't be dressing like this. I'd probably be really cold. but I don't know. It's your choice where you want to take this. You know, you can dress her up like in this pinup style, whatever it is that's going on over here. You can do that if you want to, but I just wouldn't recommend it as a costume. Remember, costume has to reflect the character type. So I just don't feel like she would wear this. She's not really busty. Your boobs are covered up, and you just got these really, really... I mean, if you had hidden this and kind of finished off the costume like that, that would make more sense to me, because now it's not like this really, really sexy kind of visible hips. You know, you're one bad wardrobe malfunction away from mooning people or flashing people. It's a little bit more of a controlled nudity. Okay, she's not about to strip. But if this was like a temptress or something like that, then yeah, we would go for something a little bit more revealing, or, you know, I'm not, you know, if my boob slips out, that's okay kind of thing, you know. So I'm just getting rid of that extra, you know, the extra. I'm getting rid of the extra. And I'm just gonna kind of depress the body back into the outsides here. So at this point, it's me reinforcing the body, the character with the costume. And then here, if you guys go back to the villain assignment, adding some dark circles around the eyes and hooding the eyes a little bit will really help make her feel a little bit more like a villain. She is absolutely a villain. This is not a good guy by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the heck kind of good guy this would be. Okay. The head needed to be a little bit bigger. You might want to go back and add some contrast on the body a little bit more. Cheeks will be hollowed out. Again, if you can stomach it and respect it, not mock it, you can go to Google and just Google a body type that is nutritionally deprived. And that's typically what bodies look like. You know, in prisons or prisoners of war eventually look like that. That's just hunger, famine. It's brutal, but it's what we need to learn if we are to design characters that represent hunger and famine and brutality. Okay, so a little bit more of those large core shadows. You see, I'm doing a lot of these, and that's what makes a character look three-dimensional. It's these large core shadows and large highlights that grow along the face. I'm bringing more of that skull-like attitude here. Another really big thing I'm going to do, which is probably going to be a little much for some of you, but for the artist, I think it might actually benefit. I'm going to just tuck this in this way. See that? I kind of just like broke the body. And what that's done is that it's going to give us that extra little bit of gesture compared to before. So I have to move it back. Let me do it with liquify. So I'm like going to connect it as if she's snaking it back. So this whole stomach area is moving back. Alright, see that? See how much more of an attitude that has? Sorry about the hum in the background. And maybe I can do a little bit of that. Oh, deselect. I'm almost done, I promise. Bit of a long class today. A bit more bony, a little bit sporty though, her body type right now. A little bit too sporty for my taste, especially for the kind of character she is, but she's as skinny as she needs to be, I think, to continue the story. See how much more twisted her body feels. And cancel. I'm just going to merge that down. Filter, liquify. A little bit more twisted, a little bit more bony, more skeletal. As for, okay, so twisty vines, twisty vines, twisty vines. You've used this 3 times already. Get over it. You have to find something else you're going to be using. So here, seems a little bit more metallic. So try to bring in more of a metal type shape to this. And then this here, it feels like, you know, is she going to have a wing that's made out of trees, or is she going to have an arm that's made out of trees? Just choose one, especially not both on the same side. You've lost her silhouette. I feel like this big ass tree isn't really doing anything. You've lost the entire kind of silhouette. She feels a lot more scary like this. And I'm sure her little arm can go up and make up for the space we just lost, that we just filled up, that we just cleared out. So we filled up a lot of space with these little sinewy things. So her arm can go up like this, and, you know, she can be casting her spell. Maybe it looks like a big hand holding a spell, and then there's a spell in between. It can be something like that. You don't have to just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. If she's going to have her arm, it's a sinewy kind of wooden arm. You have so much you can do with that to help the gesture. And the gesture reinforces the personality. She doesn't need an arm, a tree wing made of twigs. It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. When you write it down, then you're going to start understanding some stuff. So yes, the magic took over her. It gave her back a limb she lost that she probably paid the magic with. What's she going to do with a wooden wing? Right? Makes no sense. They're tentacles. Doesn't make sense. They're made out of wood. If they're magical tentacles, then have them connected to the arm in some way. You're the one writing this, right? If this is a pre-written thing, this is really bad writing. I will critique. If this is Wizards of the Coast, I'm still going to critique. I don't give a rat's ass. I will critique Wizards of the Coast. Alright, so we're going to... See how small the head was? And how kind of like fatty the stomach was? It didn't make much sense to her character. And after. Also, your contrast is excruciatingly low. Please raise some contrast. Bring in some contrast for the love of God Almighty. Alright, so before, after, and I'd pick up a good reference for heavy fabric, you know, the thick kind of cotton fabric, and go from there. Any questions? Again, it's not me. Not me! Too late, Nina. All this work is yours. You're going to get the credit for all these mistakes. Alright then. So before and after here, that's done. So adding personality, what are the ways to do it? It's like for her to be like Maleficent. And I was afraid I used too much contrast. No, man. Not enough. It's really low. Is that you, Laurentio? Good job. Good job. Round of applause for Laurentio and Lauren, sorry. And the artist behind this piece. Good job for putting your work out there to be beaten and battered, but it's an opportunity to grow, and it's, you know, I can't show these fundamentals and their benefits without showing how they look when they're lacking. So this is all possible because you guys submit your work. It's a wonderful segue into the completion of the class today. To submit your work for critique, go to istebrak.com and click on the little Google Plus icon to join. And if you want to support the class, you can click on the Patreon here to join as a watcher, or go to the Apprentice tier as well if you want to join in on this month's design stream, which is going to be on the 7th, the private Patreon Apprentice stream, which is going to be all about gestures and motion and animation. So please read the rules. Again, if I'm seeing fan art that's just like half-assed, that is really, really line dependent, that is not an attempt at some kind of geometric form or some kind of realism, then I'm going to just get rid of it, and I'm going to give my mods the green light to get rid of it. I want this community to be about education, not about entertainment. It's not about entertainment. Alright. You're clapping in your room? Taylor, you're so sweet. Costume, expression, and gesture. Beautiful, Mute-chan. Thank you. Yes, I'm still using that Huion. Not hot screen. Nothing like that. It's still wonderful. I have not, I'm so sorry, had the time to make a review video of it for extended use, but I'm recommending it absolutely because I haven't found any problems with it. It's so smooth. It's so easy to use. It's just a wonderful, wonderful tool. The Huion GT220. You're very, very welcome, Lauren. Oh God, I'm sorry for your tongue. I'll change my name. No, it's okay. Lauren Teo. I don't know. I'm sorry. How many pages does the book have currently? It doesn't know. I haven't paged it, but it has about 50,000, 60,000 words. So that's quite a bit of writing. And I'm not done. The girth of the book, yes, it's done. The majority of the stuff, but there are some finer details and ways for me to re-describe fundamentals. There are some seaming chapters that I need between 2 chapters, so I need to rewrite some areas or write entirely new chapters that connect themes together. So I'm not just jumping from one fundamental to another. I describe the value of the fundamental that came before and the fundamental that's needed to reinforce it. As for the title, I honestly have no idea what to name it. I want to name it something cool. I also want to name it something straightforward and simple, like fundamentals. But I don't know. Yes, I do check 14-day challenge. Just look at my previous video history and you'll see. I've also posted a video on YouTube, just today I posted it, about private tutoring. So if anyone's interested in private tutoring, if anyone wants to know what it's all about, I've just posted a little bit of a video here describing what it's all about. So one-on-one tutoring, workload, curriculum, studies, improvement, and more. It's just a little bit of a discussion. It's a 6-minute video describing what it's like being my student in private tutoring. So that isn't free, just letting you know. It's not part of the community. It's something entirely separate. It's one-on-one instruction for anyone wanting to build a portfolio, build a skill set. There's different price tiers and different curriculum tiers that you can book with. But yes, is this unlisted? Oh, this is a private tutoring student thing. Anyway. Yep, that's up, so please go have a look at that if you are interested in private tutoring. Slots are available for the summer, which is going to end very, very soon. And that's it, I think. I will let you guys go. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, the 7th at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I've been trying to do classes a little bit earlier. But the summer's coming to a close. There aren't going to be any major, like, crazy hikes or kayaking anymore. It's getting really cold really fast in New York. So yeah, I might just have it at 5 p.m. on the 7th. I'll let you guys go. Bye, everyone.